Hello, 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 and welcome to Sweet and Sour Soccer with me, James, and we are with
Scott, back again.
back again. We've got one video out already. Please do go and check that out if you haven't already. This is going to be a bit different. We're going to do a team of the season so far for the Wolves. Four-part video, I believe. Today is going to be defenders and obviously Rui. Then we're going to look at midfielders, attackers, and finishing off with Nuno. Looking forward to it, Scott.
I am. It's going to be good. Let's see if we agree or not. Let's face it, there's been some good standout players, but there's also been a few that, let's face it, have had pretty bad seasons. So,
Yeah,
it's going to be good to see what your view is, and everyone else's who hopefully will comment below. Let us know what you think as well throughout the whole four-part video that we do.
yeah, I've got a funny feeling that you're going to give some horrendous ratings. As we know, your football knowledge is pretty poor anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Right, let's see if you start off with a thumbs up in terms of Patricio. What do you reckon for the season so far? Not been the same as he has been for the last two seasons in most people's eyes. What do you think?
No, he hasn't. So I've actually given him a 5 out of 10, straight down
Okay.
the middle. Um,
Yeah.
I probably could have been a bit harsher on him than a 5, but probably for me, just about right. What about yourself? What have you
I gave him a four.
for? Yeah, I could have gone that way myself.
Yeah, for me, I'm using five as a middle ground. I know other channels use six as an average score. I'm just going to use five for obvious reasons, and I just think he's been below his standards of the last 2 years. I think maybe it's his own downfall because he has been so well for the last couple of seasons. I'm giving him a four. I just he just looks like it might be getting to the point where age is starting to play that little bit of a factor. Obviously, we know goalkeepers can play for a few more years than outfield players, but you go back to that last minute free kick against Newcastle, 2 points dropped, and other mistakes that we haven't really seen in the past.
Yeah,
So
I
I'm com-
think I think touching on that one, as you said, you've alluded to the Newcastle one. Thing I found most interesting about that one was I think it was Jacob Murphy that got the goal right near the end
yeah, it was.
of the game. Yeah, and he quite confidently came on after the game, didn't he? And he said, "I knew if I could go to the keeper's near
Yeah,
side, that that's a weakness for him." So
he's done
uh,
his research.
yeah, he did his research, and fair play to him, he executed it well. But it just does show that Patricio does have his weaknesses. I mean, in general, he was a pretty good shot stopper. It's been more of his kicking. But this
Yeah,
season, his shot stopping has gone a bit downhill. As you say, could age be a factor? I mean, it could affect how well he does get down to the low shots, because I think Jacob Murphy himself said, if I could get low to the goalkeeper's side, I knew that he'd struggle. So maybe that did it come into play.
yeah,
So yeah, not the best of seasons for him, and I think also some fans have been asking for Ruddy to be given a go, which I wouldn't mind seeing myself. Would he do better than Patricio? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I, I don't think it can be much worse. Let's put it that way. I
Hmm.
think every game he's played this season or in previous seasons, I'm trying to think of a game where he's let us down in terms of had a stinker. There's been games where he hasn't maybe had a blinder, but since he was playing full time for us in the championship, I don't think he's let us down.
No,
Um,
definitely. And
I'd
I
like to
mean,
see, I'd like to see him get a run, and if he is underperforming, we have got a good keeper in Patricio that we can bring back in. So I think it's a good position to be in. But I would like to see, I would like to see Ruddy be given a bit of a run. If Patricio's poor form does continue, if we go on to have 3 or 4 clean sheets out of 5 games, obviously don't change it.
yeah, definitely. Obviously we won't be giving Ruddy a rating himself, because we have agreed we'll only give ratings to those that have had 5 Premier League starts to
Yes,
date
yes.
as well.
5 appearances or more. We will mention there's one midfielder and I think a striker that we might give a quick mention to, but nothing more than that. But we probably won't give them a rating. But as we know, with Wolves having such a small squad, there's only about 18, 19 players to actually rate anyway. He's had more than 5 appearances. But starting off with the defence, I want to start on Bowley. We'll start with the centre backs. Nicknamed the Wall, he's probably been one of our best players over the last, since being promoted. This season, up and down amongst the fans. Again, I'll come to you first. What's your opinion of that?
Well, it almost, to be honest, it almost replicates what I've said with Patricio. In terms of, I think you alluded to the fact as well, we've had such high standards of him.
Yeah.
He's been quite poor. I think the last few games he's improved, but unfortunately, ratings-wise for me, I've only given him a 4 out of 10.
As low as a 4? Okay.
4, yeah. I've gone for a 4 out of 10. I mean, he made that foolish challenge, didn't he, against the Albion, which
some people say it's not a penalty.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
come on. The other way around, any Wolves fan that was saying it wasn't a penalty, the same Wolves fans that were saying it wasn't a penalty would be the same ones that would be absolutely slagging off VAR if it was the other way around. It was clumsy. It was a silly tackle to make. If I'm not mistaken when I say, I believe I can't remember the player he made the challenge on, but he even had his back to goal at the time, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He had his back to goal.
Yeah.
Was it Pereira?
I know Pereira scored the goal. I'm not sure if it was him, but actually he put
it was a poorly timed challenge. He had his back to goal. There was no need to make it. That for me, that's not the worst thing that Bowley even did that game. It was, even after the game, the worst thing he did for me was high-fiving Big Sam.
I've got a smile on my face because I know how much that angered you at the time.
Yeah. Oh God. To me, I just think that just shows you don't get it. You just don't get it. I was fuming for the rest of that day and the day after.
And has that come into your rating at all, that moment, or like what have you scored him?
It hasn't come into my rating because if I am being fair, if I am being impartial, that had nothing to do with his performances as the season. But it does say to me, maybe you don't quite get it. And obviously, a lot of foreign players do get accused of, most derbies now aren't what they were, which is fair enough. But yeah, that for me that was the worst thing he did that day, not the challenge. I gave him a 6. Only because you could argue over the last 2 years he's been an 8 or a 9. I don't think I think he's been better than average. I think he's been one of our better defenders. I think he's got 16 appearances, 5 clean sheets. So in terms of our centre backs, it's one of the highest percentages. So I think he's been. I wouldn't argue the 5, but I've gone for a 6. He's got 1 goal as well. I would like to see him notch up a few more goals. For someone, he goes up for every corner, almost every free kick. I'd like to be seeing with someone of his height just get an extra 2 or 3 goals a season.
Let's move on to a centre back that has got goals this season.
Yes.
Go on. What have you scored him this year? For this season?
I gave him a 7. He's only played 14 games, 3 goals. So he puts a lot of most of our attacking players to shame. Seiss, I've never had an argument with Seiss. Sometimes I've been guilty of being on his back for maybe not having that quality. That's not his fault if he gets picked. That's more Nuno's problem if he does go wrong. But the one thing with Seiss, even again this season, you can't argue with his passion. He's drive. He can see he cares. When we conceded to United in the 95th minute or 96th minute, whatever it was, I think it was Rashford who scored, wasn't it? And he just got that slight deflection which took it past Patricio. You could just see he dropped to his knees. Even at full time, the United players were consoling him, So I think he gets it as much as most players in that team. I think he's been good when he's been called upon. He can play in the midfield. We know that. He's been called upon the defence a lot this season. He can play left, he can play left centre back. So I really like Seiss. I think I've given him a 7. I think he's been really good this season.
Yeah, I've also given him a 7. The exact reasons that you touched on as well. He's just been in general a solid player when called upon. His passion. I mean, you go back to the championship. I always remember that 9 men against Middlesbrough, and then he literally just collapsed at full time.
Yeah,
I always remember that one. Yeah, just as you say, player with a lot of passion, always gives 110%. I mean, I think he might only have 6 months left on his contract. I don't know if behind the scenes they have activated a 1-year extension, if that's available. But I really do hope we don't lose him because he
an
is a
odd
really
one, isn't it?
good
Are you
player.
surprised? The Wolves for the last couple of years have been very good on their contract situations, unlike a lot of other clubs in the Premier League, who just let players run down and don't get it sorted. We've been very good in that regards. Are you surprised we've let such a utility player, like a James Milner who can play in 3 or 4 positions well? Are you surprised we've only got 6 months?
I mean, the only thing I can think of why his contract has been run down is maybe his age, but I mean, he's not old. I think is he 29, I think.
I'd have said 30, if not 29. Yeah, he's got a
Yeah, so he's not
good
old,
three,
but
4 years
maybe
left.
they look at Dendoncker, for example, as that utility player that can do both. I believe, yeah. I mean, we're including Dendoncker in our midfielders, aren't we? Because that's where he's predominantly played. I mean, he's
Yeah,
been called upon as a centre back before, though, and could
yeah.
possibly play there. So maybe that's the only reason why I can think of that he might be surplus to requirements. But yeah, just been a great player for us.
So we've both gone 7 for
Both
size.
on 7, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't think many people would argue with that if anyone who is watching or bothers to watch. I don't think they'd argue. If anything, they might even say an 8. Um, I think a 7 only because he has only made 14 appearances in the league up until the recording of this video. So he's only played 2/3 of the season. If he'd have played an extra 3 or 4 games, he might have got an 8 because he probably would have had another goal probably in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
time.
that's true. Yeah, yeah.
Moving on to Cody, the main man, come under, really, for me, from what I've seen, he's come under a fair bit of stick for the first time in his Wolves career. Um, Definitely for the last 2 or 3 years. What have you gone for with Cody this season? It's an interesting one.
I think you can almost break this season down into two halves, can't you? I mean, I've gone with a 6, which
Yeah,
in recent performances, you'd perhaps argue lower. But I think you've got to bear in mind, the successful start to the season he had. He got his first England call up. He was looking like, really reliable. I don't know whether the switch from a 5 to a 4 at the back has not helped him, and whether
yeah,
going forward he can be a back 4 player for us. I'm not too sure if Cody can really adjust to that role because he does well in the 5 because he can do the spraying balls out to the fullbacks or to the wingers.
yeah.
He's known for those diagonals, isn't he? Not just with Wolves but also
In my
England now.
opinion, he's one of the best in the league. I think it's underrated. It has been picked up on by people like Jamie Carragher doing Monday Night Football and things like that. I think his long distance passing is underrated, if anything. He's one of the best defenders in the league,
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
in that regard, anyway.
I mean, maybe if we do move into a 4-3-3, could he be a defensive midfielder? I don't know. I'd really like to find a space in the team for him, no matter what, just purely off the basis of he's our leader, isn't he? He's so vocal, which is another thing that has been picked up by Sky.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
have you gone for a similar rating? Like, what have you
Oh
gone
yeah,
for?
I've gone for 5. Yep,
5.
straight down the middle.
Mm.
I've seen
Yeah, I can
some
agree with that. Yeah.
I've seen some fans calling to drop him and things like that. I've even seen a couple of fans going a bit further. I don't believe that for 1 second. He's allowed to have a bad season, surely. I mean, in his last 3 seasons, he's got us promoted as champions. The Wolves team that won the championship was considered as one of the best ever to do it, along with like the Sunderland team and the Reading team and the Man City team that did it, then we go into Europe, finish 7th, and we get to a Europa League quarter-final. I think he's allowed to have an off 3 or 4 months, especially with such a difficult season. I know all teams are suffering with COVID, but the thing with Cody is I don't think you find a defender as good as Cody, an obvious defender. Yes, you always can find a gem like an N'Golo Kante, but they are very rare. To find a player that is, on the radar, you'd have to spend 20 plus million to find him, but then you're also losing a leader, a captain. So you've actually got 2 roles that you're trying to find. I think we have got a few captains in our team. We'll come on to Neves in the next video, but obviously it came out this week about missing his child's birth to play. That shows great leadership. But with Cody, if he wasn't captain, I'd understand the buzz of dropping him more so. But as he is captain, I think it's important he's in the team. I think he does, when we are playing well, he's so good at pulling the team together, getting everyone organised. Hasn't been his best season, so I've just gone for a 5.
Yeah. I mean, I'll accept a 5 as well. Obviously, I just went slightly higher. I think mainly just based on his start to the season, probably why I went just a touch higher than a 5. Moving on to Max Kilman. For me, one of the I would say when called upon, our best centre back, and I've reflected that in the rating by giving him an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah.
Mainly down to his improvement. I remember watching him in the Europa League at the start of last season. I was just nervous every time he was on the ball. Didn't look too bad defensively, but it was just like his how he looked on the ball. You kind of felt nerves coming off him, and I think that reflected on how the crowd reacted as well. It was just a bit unnerving, but now he looks so composed on the ball. Really, really good defensive work as well. And if we do go back into a back 4, he might be probably the best suited one to actually fit into a back 4, to be honest, from what I've seen of him, especially this year.
I agree with pretty much everything that you've said and more. I've gave him a 7. He's only made 13 appearances up until the recording of this. 13 appearances, but he's made 4 clean. Well, he's kept 4 clean sheets. So it's actually our highest percentage of game to clean sheet ratio. Whether that could be a coincidence, I don't know. Time will tell. Let's see in the next 15, 20 games that he plays. But again, very versatile at left back. He put in a good shift recently. Obviously, we know he can play centre left back or as a centre-sided defender with a 4. I do agree he probably is the most suited defender if we were to go forward back. I don't know who I'd like to see in partner, Cody or Bowley. My heart says Cody, my head says Bowley. But again, it means
agreed.
Cody. So there are questions there. But I mean, for Kilman, again, in terms of improvement, yes, I completely agree as well. The only problem with Kilman playing is that we have to listen to these commentators mention that he played futsal, a couple of times every 5 minutes, and it's God. Imagine playing Kilman bingo. You'd be pissed after 10 minutes. It's just like the only thing that they know about him. Jesus.
One shot if it's futsal, 2 shots if they mention Maidstone.
Yeah, I mean, there are other facts about Max Kilman. Like, he's not the only thing that's got going for me is not that he played futsal once, but yeah.
I mean, I think he's played long enough for us now to have his own facts whilst he's actually been at the club. But I suppose I like mentioning that, don't they? It's a little quirk of, we've done our research. But, once you've done your research and you've mentioned it 30 times, I think people start to get a bit like,
well, this goes back to last season as well. It's not just this season.
Do some more research on him.
But yeah, Kilman, I think, has been one of our best performers. I'd like to see him get more appearances. And I'd like to see, hopefully, his development curve does continue on the way it does. Speaking of potential, I mean, he's only made 6 appearances, but Hoover, what do you think?
Yeah, I like the look of him. I've gave him Hoover. I've gone for a 7. I've gone for a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, look, as you say, we haven't seen a lot of him. Only 6 appearances at the time of recording.
I think all of those were substitute as well,
Subs,
so
yeah.
not a lot of minutes.
The reason I've gone for a 7, which is quite look, 7's quite a high rating, but I've gave him probably an extra point because of his versatility, which I've seen. We've seen him play not only as a right back, but also as a right, I suppose a right forward, but I'd call it more of a right mid in terms of
Yeah,
when we've needed to defend a lead, which hasn't happened so much this season. We have actually seen him put into that position to kind of give extra
like an
defense.
old-fashioned right midfielder, isn't it? Just
That's it, yeah. But he still looked
yeah.
good going forward as well. Like, good pace. Between 8 and 9 million.
Steal
Uh,
from what I've seen
yeah,
so far. I know it's early, but that was more part of the Yotta deal.
yeah. I think as you allude to the Yotta deal, I think we probably did get him at a bit of a discount price just to like go, come on, Wolves. Let us have him. Let us have him. We're giving you this great potential right back, and yeah, I really like the look of him so far.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I completely agree. I mean, I've gone for a 6. I'm not against a 7. The only reason I have given him a 6 is because it is so early. I think it'd be a little bit unfair to give him a 5 because when he has been called upon, I think he's done okay. Only, as I say, 6 appearances, 4 sub appearances. So he hasn't got a lot of minutes, but when he's come on, I think he's done fine. What he's
yeah,
been asked to.
agreed.
Young 20, 20.
18 or 19, yeah, yeah.
Right, okay. I thought he was close to 20 or 19 or 20. Okay, so yeah, potentially a player there for the future, but this season so far, yeah, I've got no complaints of him.
Well,
I've been
let's
happy.
move on to the other right back. I mean, it's one which has divided opinions so far
Yeah,
amongst Wolves fans. Nelson Semedo obviously signed from Barcelona for, was it
three,
27?
three.
20,
No, I'm
oh,
just
I
saying
thought I thought
three.
you were correcting
Yeah,
me and saying
no,
23 million. You've
just
given him.
three. Let's
Wow.
just get
Okay. Well,
three.
look,
Shock,
we've
shock.
agreed pretty much. We've been agreed almost closely on everyone so far, but yeah,
Yeah.
bit of a discrepancy here. I've gone for a 6, so I've got
Dick,
I've gone for double what you've said.
you're a moron. Nick,
A
what,
3.
what
What?
have you seen from Nelson Semedo? Okay, just for context, we recorded this just after the Arsenal game. So, from up until the start of the season until beating 9 men, what have you seen to warrant a 6? Let me just give you the stats, okay? 19 games, 1 assist. Barcelona player. I think he played for Benfica before that, and he's not young. Young.
Well, I mean, to be fair though, okay, he had a bit of a shaky start to the season, but so does 90% of players that make the switch from any league into the Premier League. Yeah,
Mm,
he's got, for
yeah.
me, he's got a lot better the last few games. I think he's
No,
looked.
I think he's just improved a bit on being shite. I think he's just better than shit now.
But
I don't.
you alluded to the fact he's a Barcelona player or was a Barcelona player. You can't hold that against him
Why?
because you can't.
Why?
I mean, it's not a Barcelona player. Let's put it like if it was a Barcelona player which we've signed for 50, 60 million, I'd go, yeah, fair play. I'd probably, I still wouldn't go for a 3, but I might bump it down to a 4.
But let's be honest, obviously, with what's come out recently with Barcelona struggles, what are they, like 400 million euros in debt? Maybe they would have sold him for 50, 60, 70 million, but needed 30. It's looking likely they're going to lose Messi in the summer to, try and save 100 million a year. So, who's to say that he probably wouldn't have cost 50, 60 million? And then I think my 3 would be justified if he did cost more.
I think it was a fair price we paid, and uh, I don't know. I mean, okay, he played in that Bayern Munich result, but I'm sure for part of the season last year he was actually their number 2 choice. So let's
Yeah,
face it,
he didn't even play most of last season. It was Sergio Roberto was replaced him for most of that
yeah,
season.
so we signed the second string Barcelona right back. So, you can't go, oh, well, he played for Barcelona.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah, fair enough in regards to that. But no, I just don't. Whether he came from Barcelona or Inter Milan, Torino, or Wolfsburg, I just don't think he's being good enough. His attacking prowess has been non-existent. I don't even remember his assist. Did it come off the back of his arse or something and land at someone's feet? No, do you know it? I can't remember the assist. It was probably a poor cross that Raul got onto the end to and scored with, like most of some other players that we'll talk about in the upcoming videos. But no, I'll give you that. In the last 2 or 3 games, he's been better, but no, for me, I've seen nothing to warrant anywhere near 30 million. I don't think his positioning's been great. When he's been one-on-one with a winger or attacking player, he looks shaky and he gets beaten a lot.
At the start of the season, I'd agree, not so much now.
When you say now, how far back are you going? Because even if it was halfway, I'd still say that's not good enough to be warranting more than a 4.
I've took into account that we are in a look. It's his first season in the Premier League, and I mean, look, some of the greats of the Premier League have struggled in the first season.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I'm judging him on this season. If I was judging him on his career so far, he might get a 6 or a 7 because he's had a trajectory where he's playing for Benfica and Barcelona by the age of 22, 23. But I'm judging him on this season, and from what I've seen, I think he's been one of our worst players by a long way, and that's in a team that has 90% underperformed anyway. Put it this way, compared to Fabio, who has really never played any kind of first team football, who we'll talk about in another video. Semedo's come in and played just as many games and not contributed anywhere near as much.
Look, I'll make this point. The last point I'll make on Semedo. Me personally, I feel that Wolves fans are using him as a bit of a scapegoat.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
The reason is our back 4 or back 5, left back situation. Obviously, we're going to cover those, but we've not looked great there. We've not looked great at centre back, but nobody wants to criticise Cody. No one wants to criticise Bolly when they don't play well. So it's like, well, who can we actually blame them? Then we don't want to blame them too. Well, we'll blame Semedo.
I mean, people in the comments, let me know who you agree with, or do you think it should be in between? Should it be a 4 or 5 instead of a 3 for me and a 6 for Scott? Listen, don't get me wrong. I think he has the attributes to become a very, very good right back in the Premier League. He hasn't got blistering pace, but he's quick. I think technically he looks good, but he hasn't shown it. Obviously, I hope he does as well as he can because it only helps the team. I've got no agenda. I don't want him to play poorly so I can continue to be right. That doesn't help me at all. I hope he smashes it. But so far, I'm basing it on this season so far, and I think he's just been awful, truly awful.
Right. Well, yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, let us know. Let us know what you think.
We've already covered the young right back in Hoover. Let's move on to the young left back that we signed on loan with an option to buy Ait-Nouri.
Yeah. I'll say I gave him a 6.
I also gave him a 6. Yeah, I thought I did. Yeah, I've also given him a 6.
Yeah. He scored that goal on his debut, and you think, may we have just found a gem again that we seem to find every transfer window, whether it be a Neto or a Podence or a Jimenez. Every window we seem to find someone. It hasn't kicked on that way. He's been in and out of the team. I've given him a 6 because I think for someone of his age, I think he's done well. The one thing that puts me off is that price tag.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'll just completely agree with everything you said. No point going over it twice. Everything you've said is true in terms of he's just done an all right job, hasn't he?
Yeah.
You know, he's filled the spot. I think the French media, especially when we signed him, they were really buzzing about him, saying that he was
Yep.
expected to be great. Yeah, the price tag 20 million. It's believed to be.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a way that we could come back and maybe offer 12 or 13 million. I
Yeah,
don't see us spending 20 million on him because we've got quite a few options to buy or um, you know, whether it be Ait-Nouri or other players that will come on to in terms of Vitinha and, Jose, where if we were to exercise all of them, we could be looking at close to 60, 70 million. From what we've seen so far, I don't see us paying the 20. I can see us paying up to maybe 13, 14. Yes, he's young, but we've got a lot of young players at the moment. Do we need another 19, 20-year-old? Do we
and
need someone with a bit more experience?
I think you hit the nail on the head there with both points you made. I mean, firstly, we have got two other players to consider on a loan with an option to buy in probably
Mhm.
positions that are more needed. Which I
Left
think,
back, we're pretty good for. We're good for left back.
yeah, I think it could go against him. I mean, yeah, as you said, the young left backs we've got Ryan Giles who's doing really well at the moment.
3 goals in his 4 games or something, I think it is.
Yeah, out on did really well before out on loan at Coventry. I think they ended up dropping him because he basically they wanted him to sign permanently, but then he went and signed a new deal with Wolves. So I think that's why they. But yeah, so there's other options, and I don't know if we should be as good a player as he looks. I don't know if we should be investing in him when money might be a bit tight because of COVID at the moment. But yeah, I mean, let's move on to the next player. Obviously, not with a big price tag, and we actually signed
No.
him in the summer. Uh,
Yeah, I mean,
Marcel.
this is the last defender that we need to look at. Um, I've given Marcel a 5. He cost £2 million, 10 appearances, 1 clean sheet. Does seem a bit injury prone. That's, I believe, why he's so cheap. Um, was it the semi-final of the Champions League he got to last season? It was a
Yeah,
semi.
with Leon, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Leon. Yeah, it was with Leon. Yeah. Didn't
yeah,
they knock out Man City as well?
that's right. They got past Man City. He was playing in that team as well. It's not like he was third choice. So I think it's a very good signing. If he can play 20 or 25 games a season for us when we need him to over the next 2 or 3 years for 2 million. When he has played, he hasn't been the best player on the pitch, but he hasn't been the worst. He looks solid, deceptively quick. So, I mean, I've just gone straight down the middle for him. He's a bit inconsistent with his injuries. I'd like to see him be available as much as
Oh,
possible. But
yeah.
for £2 million in today's football, you can't really argue, can you? Really?
Yeah, and pretty much the same as you. I have gone for a 6 or one higher, but with the
Yeah.
exact same reasons. I think he's looked pretty solid when he has played, but we haven't seen a lot of him.
My laptop's gonna die. Keep talking.
Okay, then we'll all keep on talking about Marcel. Yeah, £2 million. As James alluded to, maybe that's because he was a bit injury prone. Also, looking at his age, 31 years old. But
He's
again,
not old. He's not old. He's not 33, 34. I think he can play 20 games a season for the next 3 or 4 years.
and that's probably all we need when Johnny's back. So I mean, look,
Yeah.
we spoke about the young left backs, which we might not as a reason why we might not want to activate Ait-Nouri's release clause. That's probably another reason. I mean, look, when Johnny's back, he's going to be first choice. He's going to be a solid first choice. And if we can get 3 years out of Marcel, when all he needs to do is be available when he's called upon, if he can do that, then yeah,
Yeah,
I'd rather just keep on using him for 2, 3 seasons, to be honest. But
I
yeah,
completely
I'd
agree.
I'd like to see him a bit more second half of the season. Not, I mean, look, we believe Johnny is probably on his way back very soon. Um, So
Yeah, there's an outside chance that he might play at Leicester, but yeah.
Yeah. So possibly we will see him soon. So maybe that will also mean we won't see much of Marcel. So yeah, I mean, look, it'll be an interesting one to see what we do with the Ait-Nouri release clause. As you say, we might look to just get him in for 10 to 12 million if it can be done.
I don't see, as well as we've done for the last 2 years, we are not a club that can spend £20 million on a second choice left back.
Yeah,
Especially when you've got someone there like, I mean, if you look at the cover that we've got on that left hand side, Sice can play there, Kilman can play there if needs to.
And Johnny hasn't been injured.
Semedo can cover there. Marcel, I don't see the reason we'd need to.
Yeah, I mean, look, Johnny hasn't been injury prone. He just unfortunately picked up an ACL, which can happen to anyone. So,
exactly.
I mean, really looking forward to seeing him back.
I agree. What I'm not looking forward to is your abysmal opinions on football players in the next few videos. I mean, someone's knocking my door. One moment.
We're waiting for you. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I've lost all train of thought. What was I saying then before I was rudely interrupted?
Just for
what I'm not looking forward to, yeah, your abysmal opinions on footballers. Semedo is a 6.
I don't know. I don't know why I tried to remind you what you were talking about there. To be honest,
yeah, you probably shouldn't have. But yeah, guys, please, can you like the video? Can you comment? Let us know what you think. Are we completely wrong? Are we both wrong? Is one of us right? If so, who? And something about the notifications. Scott, you know more than me about that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so like, subscribe, and hit the notifications. That'll just mean that you never miss a video. You'll be reminded when we do post. And yeah, in this series, we're going to be posting one a day. So I think it'll be the midfielders next, which you'll see tomorrow. So make sure you come back tomorrow. Hopefully you do. And hopefully you see this series out. I don't know if that's going to be a standard thing at the end of each video. Hopefully not. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys.
Right.
See you next one.